It's 10 a.m. in Lagos, Nigeria. Time to enjoy about an hour of relevant business discussions on Channels Television. Good morning and welcome to Business Morning. I'm John Mekwa. Thank you so much for joining us. Well, Nigeria currently has the attention of the world, at least the countries in Africa, after becoming the first on the continent to roll out digital currency, the eNaira. Our correspondent, Victor Matthias, tells us how this is going to work.
With the unveiling of the eNaira, Nigeria becomes the first country in Africa to launch a digital currency with two applications, the eNaira Speed Wallet and eNaira Merchant Wallet. The aim is to ensure increased cross-border trade, accelerated financial inclusion, cheaper and faster remittance inflows. Other benefits include easier targeted social interventions, improvements in monetary policy effectiveness, payment systems efficiency, and tax collection. Also, local and diaspora payments, transparency in taxation systems, facilitation of instant cross-border foreign exchange will be enhanced. Financial experts have since been reacting to the launch.
You've been to the market before where you do a transaction of maybe 850 naira and you give somebody 1,000 naira and they give you 100 naira as change and tell you they don't have the 50 naira that is the change. And then you either have to forgo or you are forced to buy maybe sweets or something just to meet up that window. With eNaira, you don't have those kind of problems. So it's easy for me to pay you the exact amount of 850 from my eNaira wallet to your own eNaira wallet. And it's peer-to-peer. So it shows that the speed of transaction will be very fast as compared to what the speed of transaction is supposed to be when you use a regular USSD.
The eNaira wallet is funded by transferring physical money from regular e-banking apps and will have the same value as the Naira. To enroll, download the eNaira Wallet app, fill in the activation code, choose a bank of choice, key in your details, and submit for validation. Then await an activation email from the Central Bank of Nigeria to complete your enrollment and subsequent use of the application. Nigeria's launch of the e-currency is coming after the likes of China, Bahamas, St. Kitts and Nevis, Antigua and Barbuda, St. Lucia, Barbados and Grenada all adopted the digital currency model. Victor Matthias, Channels Television News.
So now let's have a feel of expectations from the eNaira. We have Chuta Chimeze, founder of Blockchain Nigeria User Group, to tell us at least what some people are thinking about it. Hello, Chimeze. Good morning.
Hi, good morning. Nice to see you this morning.
Yeah, good to have you. I'd like to ask, have you downloaded your eNaira app?
Yes, I have. So certainly I have. But I've not yet received the activation code that will enable me to use it. And I guess it's probably because the CBN is limiting the number of people that are supposed to be enrolled in this pilot phase. Probably. I'm not sure. But I have downloaded it.
Okay, so what change do you see this bringing to the space, to the e-payment space?
Well, first of all, there's something that is happening here, and that's the advantage that first movers get when they launch a product that is entirely new in the jurisdictions that they operate. We are going to be enjoying that first mover advantage, the attention that the world is going to have in the country. We have to find a way to maximize that opportunity. And then also, there are a lot of benefits that CBN has already outlined concerning the eNaira. But one expects that the eNaira will have to go through transformation and transitions over a period of time because this is technology. No technology is perfect on its rollout. And we expect that there will be several measures that will be put in place to help enable this rollout plan to work seamlessly as possible for the users.
Well, the CBN governor did say that much, that the eNaira is a journey that just started yesterday. For you, what would you like to see the eNaira do, that you think would be of advantage or will make it different from the fiat that we already have?
Well, first of all, I'll congratulate Nigeria because this is an upgrade of the payment system that we were already using. yes, Nigeria indeed has an advanced payment system, but the biggest room in the world is the room for improvement, and the eNaira is an improvement on the already existing payment system that we have. But given that the eNaira is not going to magically transform the fortunes of the Naira itself, then one will expect that the CBN will also energize other key sectors that will enable people to actually utilize the advantage that blockchain technology brings when it comes to transactions. For instance, when CBN says that the eNaira is going to increase financial inclusion, we know that the major challenges for financial inclusion is the fact that network operators have not gotten to most of the last mile regions where people are. And those are business decisions that the network operators need to make. And we expect that the CBN should be able to incentivize the network operators, make it such that they will feel that there's business need to get to those regions. And that will help the inflow of the use of the wallet in rural communities where they are targeting to bring more people into the financial ecosystem. Until that is done, then we will still remain within the bandwidth of where the current payment system is able to take us to.
All right, Chusa Chumize, thank you so much for sharing your thoughts with us this morning. Chusa Chumize is a founder, Blockchain Nigeria User Group, and shared his thoughts on eNaira. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you so much. Yeah.
So we'll take the eNaira conversation further in our commodities segment with Damilola Kimbami, but we'll take a breather and we'll be back to continue the conversation. To stay with us is Business Morning on Channels Television. You're welcome back. Yes, we continue our conversation now with the head of research at financial derivatives company, Damilola Akimbami. Good to speak to you, Damilola. Good morning.
For having me.
Yeah, so the eNaira buzz is in the air.
Yes, it is.
And one of the interesting things is that the federal government is expecting this to boost the GDP. How do you see this happening?
Well, the federal government has said that over the next 10 years, with this, with the introduction of the eNaira, we should see an increase in the nominal size of the Nigerian economy to about, it would increase by about $29 billion, let's just say roughly $30 billion. So, well, yes, at least that's going to come from the increased payment system, increased velocity of circulation, meaning that money is changing hands more frequently, so traders can actually create more activity with their funds and churn out more output. So that definitely would have a positive impact on the aggregate economy. But if you look at that size, $30 billion in 10 years. In an economy that is about $500 billion, that's less than, or roughly about 0.6% of the total GDP size. So it's not that significant or something that would make us bring the drums out and start celebrating. But yes, it would have an impact on the market. It would have an impact on the economy. And it's just pushing Nigeria closer to a cashless society, because you know that Nigeria is heavily dependent on cash. So once that is addressed, and like I mentioned earlier, and traders can perform transactions quicker and faster, definitely it would, down the line, improve the aggregate economy.
But I guess it also depends, as Chimezie noted, on the spread of infrastructure and access to it. Because if the networks, even, because I learned that you can do it offline, it doesn't have to be with the internet. But even with that, you still need the telecommunication network. If you don't have that, then you are still limited.
So a major condition for the eNaira or for the central bank's digital currency to work, whether in Nigeria or in any country, is having that technology infrastructure in place, which Nigeria hasn't been able to fully put in place. So definitely that would be a challenge. And we know that the central bank and the government, they've come out to say that they're going to improve on the usability of that wallet up to the point that Nigerians who don't have, who don't use smartphones or have a data or internet-enabled phone will still be able to operate on the blockchain wallet platform. So definitely that needs to be addressed. So it's a major issue until you address the technology infrastructure. And bear in mind that we have a young population. The median age in Nigeria is is about 19 years. These are people that are very digital, digital savvy, and they know a lot about that. But then again, the wealth are with the older generation. So the young people, they are aware of this. So it shouldn't be a challenge in terms of getting people on board, understanding how the platform works. But the government also has to put the necessary infrastructure. You also have to partner with the relevant sectors. So the ICT sector, the telecoms operators, having the necessary fiber optic cables in place. Because if you don't have that in place, then the process, that seamless process, will be affected. Because the eNaira is supposed to make payment system easier. It's supposed to make it safer, cheaper. So that cost of cash management, cash handling charges will be removed. So you need, this is a pilot phase. So definitely it's the teething phase. A lot of things, it's not going to be smooth at first, definitely. And we've been the first African country to have this launched. Definitely, we have the first mover advantage, but also we stand to make mistakes.
To make the mistakes for others to learn
from us, exactly. But I think it's a good initiative, and it'll be interesting to see how this pans out.
Yeah, and some people have been talking about using the eNaira as a hedge. You know, I guess well, like you said, it was just unveiled yesterday.
Yes.
We still need a lot of highlighting and education to do. But I think it's been put out there that the eNaira has the same worth as the Naira.
Exactly.
Whatever happens to the Naira happens to your e-wallet or whatever you have in your e-wallet. So you can hardly, it's not a form of investment. It's just like the Naira that we have, just the e.
So the eNaira is backed by fiat currency. So the same value your 1 Naira or 1,000 Naira note can purchase, the value of that is the same value of your 1,000 Naira in your eNaira wallet. So it's, if the value of the Naira appreciates, for instance, against a basket of currencies, that would also reflect on your eNaira wallet. So it's not that eNaira wallet is going to be any more money than your...
It's not Forex.
Yeah, no, it's not Forex. So, and it's legal tender, so definitely the government has come out clearly to state that it is legal tender, so everyone has to accept it and be able to use it to make payments across the country.
And already, I think about 13 banks are on board.
Oh yes, most of the banks are on board. I was able to download mine this morning. I had some issues, but at least I was able to download it. So again, that just speaks back to the issue about the technology and ensuring that everything is in place. So almost all the banks are on board. Once you, obviously, if you have your BVN and whatever. So the risk there is, again, one, cybersecurity. Anything that has to do with the digital space, cybersecurity is a major issue. And does Nigeria have the infrastructure again to address that? That is a major issue. And also, eNaira brings about increased regulatory oversight. And that is why the eNaira, the digital currency, is different from cryptocurrency, because cryptocurrency operates outside the regulatory oversight. But eNaira, the digital currencies are regulated. So there's that fear that it could be abused or there could be tighter restrictions. Or so that is a major concern of Nigerians, especially in the economy.
Yeah, I know a lot of Nigerians do the wait and see approach.
Exactly. Let's see how that pans out.
Let's see others do. Let's see how it goes before I get on board. Do we see this making any difference to value of Naira, transactions, foreign reserves, you know, exchange rates? These are questions that people are asking.
Well, like I said earlier, whatever happens to your Naira note would happen to your eNaira wallet. So one, definitely it will improve remittances and remittance flows because it's supposed to make payment transactions easier. It's supposed to make that seamless and faster. So you would definitely see that. So if transaction costs are eliminated, the cost of transactions are reduced, or definitely that would encourage more people to use it because that's a major issue. So for instance, if I want to transfer funds to someone, whether locally or internationally, and I know I don't have to pay exorbitant charges, I will be more encouraged to use my eNaira. So when as Nigerians get a better understanding of how this is going to play out, definitely we're going to see that increase in the use of the eNaira. And again, if you are churning out more funds, more transactions, that will lead to increased output because then manufacturers, traders can produce more. And if you're producing more, that would increase your aggregate output and definitely will feed into your economic growth. So it's not necessarily, it's not Forex. It's not going to increase your Forex allocation transaction or what have you. Whatever value you have in your e-wallet is similar to what you have
It's
as
just going
cash.
to make transactions easier
Yes.
and cheaper.
Yes, it's a digital platform, so you're not handling cash. I don't have to bother about my mutilated notes or things like that, or maybe it being
And in these times
stolen
of
or what have
COVID.
you. Exactly. So everything is digitalized.
And then also because it's peer-to-peer, so you don't have the issue of you send money to somebody that has to go through the bank
Yes.
oh, I didn't get the alert or something, because
exactly.
this
So
is
it's going to be,
peer-to-peer.
yes, and because it's digitalized, it's been monitored by the CBN and regulations, so it can be easily tracked and monitored. And if there's any issue, obviously you could there are trails you could always
Yeah, and the
easily
CBN
identify.
has the backing,
Yes.
is backing this.
Yes,
Okay, so
definitely.
let's go look at our external reserve. It has increased about $41 billion. What
Yes.
drove this?
Okay, so a number of factors: higher oil prices. Oil prices are around $85, $86 per barrel right now. The IMF SDR funds that we received last month, and also the Eurobond proceeds, the $4 billion that we're able to raise from the Eurobond market. So these have contributed to the increase or the accretion in the external reserves. But yes, we're talking about, so we increase forex supply, but then we have a backlog of forex demand. We have a high import bill, especially when it comes to fuel. So for instance, people will talk about, but we're earning so much in terms of oil receipts because oil prices are higher. But because we have a high fuel import bill, so basically almost all what we're earning in terms of forex from oil is being spent to fund our fuel import bill. So for instance, now about 30% of the total forex bill is being spent on refined products that are imported. So that's the major issue. So on one hand, yes, the government benefits from increased oil prices, higher government revenue, FAC allocation, external reserves accretion. But then again, you have to, because our refineries are defunct, so basically we're importing everything. And that's where the Dangote refinery comes in place, which is expected to resume operations or commence operations in 2022. So if you have the likes of Dangote refinery coming up, you have maybe even other new private refineries coming on stream, the rehabilitation of the old refineries. Preferably, it would be better if the government can even sell those, so at least you're freeing up cash for the government to use for other things. And definitely that would reduce, it will boost domestic refining capacity and reduce
The pressure on foreign exchange.
Is spending.
So, but when we look at the full scenario, can we say Nigeria has started benefiting from the booming oil prices at this time?
Oh, to an extent, we are. So, like I said, it's one of the reasons why we're seeing that accretion in external reserves. But why it's not felt that much is because, again, we have that huge import bill. So what the expenses, the government expenditure far outweighs what is earning from oil. And again, look at production, because there are two sides to this story. Oil prices, yes.
I think production is about 1.2 or something?
Well, it increased about 1.4 million barrels based on OPEC's recently released report. But that's still significantly below what
1.8 that we're supposed to
which
do.
is the budget benchmark. So you have to look at both of them together. So yes, higher oil prices would offset the low production levels. But if you can ramp up production levels and take advantage of this rally that is ongoing, then yes, we stand a better chance.
Yeah, well, I hope because our next conversation has to do with the reduction of piracy and insecurity on our waters. So perhaps this would...
which is one of the issues affecting
Yes, it's insecurity. That's what has stopped us from optimizing our crude production.
Yes. And led to force measures by the international oil companies, yes.
Just before we let you go, tell us what's going on in the commodity space.
Yes, so in the domestic commodities market right now, if you even look at our basket, almost all the commodities in our basket are recording higher prices, apart from maybe just to cement and New Yam, which have been flat in terms of their price. And that's just reflective of what is going on, because one would have thought, right now, because this is the harvest season and what have you, but that is yet to, we are yet to feel that impact on commodity prices. And as we move closer to December and the Christmas festivities commence, definitely we're going to see increased demand for these commodities. So commodity prices are going to remain elevated.
So we don't have a breather this year.
No. Commodity prices are high, energy prices are high, and definitely that would feed into inflation.
Cooking gas is high.
Yes.
Not funny at all. Well, thank you so much, Damilola, for being a part of the show today. Really appreciate it, and enjoy the rest of your day.
And you too. Thank you very much.
All right. So we'll take a break now. After the break, reports of piracy and other insecurities in the Nigerian waters and the Gulf Gulf of Guinea reduces by 77%. That's good news, right? We'll have that discussion after the break. Do join us. You're welcome back. Well, in June, the Deep Blue campaign to stop regional piracy was launched. This is a national security and waterways protection infrastructure worth about $195 million of equipment that's to be used in a coordinated effort with its primary objective of securing Nigerian waters along the Gulf of Guinea and the country's oil infrastructure, which with coordinated combination of land, sea, and air force. Months later, in October to be precise, the International Maritime Bureau releases a report indicating that piracy in Nigerian waters and the Gulf of Guinea is in its lowest in 17 years. Are these two actions related, and what will be the ripple effect on the maritime industry? We have Foluke Akimoladu, Managing Solicitor, Treason Law Chambers, and co-lead of the Transportation Workstream of the Presidential National Action Committee on AFCFTA, joining us to bear her mind on this. Good to speak with you, Foluke. Good morning.
Good morning, Uni. How are you doing?
I'm great. I'm great. You're welcome. So before now, before this reduction, 17-year reduction, how much of a challenge was piracy on Nigerian waters?
Well, Nigerian waters has had an $26.3 billion loss annually due to piracy. And as you can imagine, that has great implications in terms of national GDP. And in addition to that, has adversely affected investments in the maritime sector. We've had a situation where Nigeria has a coastline of 853 kilometers of coastline, territorial waters of 200 nautical miles, which is what some of the largest in the African continent. And because of the issue of piracy, there has been a difficult business case for having to increase port infrastructure, because having ports without having ships that are willing to berth there for the government would have been a bit of a challenge. But even for the private sector, how do you invest in a space where you are not sure you can get your returns on investment because of the amount of piracy and criminal activities that happen on the seas? The other adverse effect it's had on Nigeria internationally is that it has affected Nigeria's election into the International Maritime Organization's Category C Council. And of course, when you are on the table, as they call it, it's easier for you to have your say in policy development. And Nigeria's inability to be part of that council has also affected Nigeria's ability to be heard in that council as far as the development of maritime on the world global stage is concerned.
So with this report now that piracy and armed robbery attacks in the Nigerian waters is down about 77% in the first 9 months of this compared to the same period of last year, can we comfortably say this is connected to the Deep Blue project?
Well, the Deep Blue project, which is known as the Integrated National Security and Waterways Protection Infrastructure, was launched by President Muhammadu Buhari on June the 10th, 2021. This maritime security infrastructure project essentially was to address the issue of piracy. And amongst its management personnel, you have the Army, you have the Navy, you have the Air Force, you have the police and the DSS. And that system is managed by NEMASA, that's the Nigerian Maritime Administration and Safety Agency. In addition to the Deep Blue project, you also have the Falcon Eye project, which is the Navy's strategic maritime surveillance system that was also launched earlier this year. And in 2019, the federal government passed the Law on the Suppression of Piracy and Other Maritime Offences Bill on June the 24th of 2019. So with this concerted efforts by the federal government, the idea is to address the issue of piracy head on, to reduce the adverse publicity that Nigeria was getting from the issue of piracy, because at the point, Nigeria's waters became the second most dangerous waters in the world after Somalia. And of course, the other adverse effect of having this was the fact that people would have their goods pass through Benin and Togo, and thereby not allowing Nigeria to get much needed foreign revenue from Nigerian shippers. So it was bad enough that you have foreign ships majorly carrying Nigerian cargo. You now had those foreign ships having to berth in neighboring African countries and transship those goods into Nigeria. So we were losing both ways, both from the ship ownership side and from the shippers' side in terms of Nigerians who own cargo. So indeed, this Deep Blue project and Falcon Eye and this law has immensely improved the Nigerian maritime space. And like you had rightly mentioned earlier in the introduction,
Oh, I think we have a bit of network issues there with Foluke. I'm sure she would join us back soon. Talking about all the
can you
good
hear me?
news.
Can you hear me? Can you hear
Yeah,
me now?
yes, I can hear you now.
Okay, can you hear me now, please? Oh,
Yes.
okay, sorry for that technical glitch. Yes, I was just going to round off on that point by saying that um, because of all these concerted efforts by the federal government, we have now seen a drastic reduction in piracy and, of course, increased interest in the Nigerian maritime space. And that's good news for the federal government's policy drive to improve on the non-oil sectors in the country.
And we see that the good news also spread to the entire Gulf of Guinea, which witnessed a similar decline. Only 28 incidents in this period compared to 46 the same period last year. So does it mean that majority of the insecurity incidents we have in the Gulf of Guinea is actually attributed to Nigeria?
Um, well, not exactly. The easier way to look at it is majority of the goods that are coming into the Gulf of Guinea are coming into Nigeria. And so because of that, pirates steal cargo. That's essentially what it is, steal cargo and kidnap crewmen. And so it is where the cargo is prevalent or where the cargo is moving to the most that you have more of pirate activities. You also have the fact that, of course, there are a number of offshore activities in the Nigerian maritime waters as well. And so, indeed, the whole of the Gulf of Guinea has significantly benefited from the maritime security infrastructure that Nigeria has put in place. And it is also helping in terms of the Nigeria's coastal neighbors in their own waterways as well.
So what are the more obvious benefits we're supposed to see from this now? You know, taking it beyond just the figures, oh, we have 77% less crime out. And what are some of the benefits that we should expect to see in the coming months coming from this report?
Okay, so the immediate benefit is that Nigerian cargo owners would see a reduction in insurance premium. So what is currently happening is that most people most cargo owners have to pay increased insurance premiums, which in some places is called war risk premium, by reason of the increased cost of possibly losing your cargo to pirates. And so being able to address that piracy issue immediately drops the cost of insurance once those negotiations are done in the international space. So it would reduce insurance costs. The more long-term benefits, of course, is that it will be easier to invest in the maritime space, so easier to make a business case to the bank with respect to funding of shipping. It's also easier for the government to invest in port infrastructure because now you know that those businesses, those ports will be fully engaged. There isn't the issue, there's not the fear of loss of security, sorry, loss of lives or property by coming into those spaces. So we're going to be seeing an increased investment in the maritime space by reason of this reduction in piracy. And of course, with more Nigerian ships, more Nigerian crews can have sea time practical training. That would also increase the number of Nigerian maritime seamen who can then export their services to other parts of the world and increase diaspora remittances. So the implications are huge, both in the short term, mid term, and in the long term.
Before we talk about the short term, the mid term, and the long term, we need to talk about sustenance of this, so we don't get our eyes off the goal. How can this be sustained? Yes, we have the Deep Blue project, but can we sustain this?
I do believe, with the fact that the federal government is trying to address these issues on so many grounds, and I'm saying this from the private sector, please, I'm not speaking on behalf of the federal government, but in terms of as an independent observer of what's happening in the maritime space, I do believe that this is here to stay because it helps in terms of developing one of Nigeria's major non-oil sectors, which is the maritime sector. It also is going to help boost Nigeria's possibility of being elected into the International Maritime Organizations Council, and that increases Nigeria's ability to speak or to be heard in that space. And so things that adversely affect Nigeria can now be addressed on the international scene. So I do believe it is here to stay. And then, of course, with the African Continental Free Trade Area Agreement, we are seeing the possibility of Nigeria being developed as a transit hub. Because if you know from the geography of Nigeria, we are surrounded by a number of landlocked countries. So being able to get, ensuring that our maritime space is free of piracy ensures that those landlocked countries can begin to make use of Nigeria's coastal waters to carry their cargo. So you have Chad, Niger, and the likes that can easily make use of the Nigerian waterways in terms of carrying their cargo. So certainly there's a lot of incentive in ensuring that this system comes to stay.
And I'm sure one of the incentives should also be in our oil production. I mean, just before you came on, I don't know if you heard the conversation we had. We cannot fully maximize the boom in the oil prices at this time because we can't meet up with the quota of 1.8 million barrels, which we're supposed to be producing, and it's all because of insecurity. So I guess this should also trickle down to the oil space.
It will certainly trickle down into the oil space. And the other additional benefit in that space as well is that the IMO has given year 2050 to reduce carbon emissions by 50%. And Nigeria is a gas country as much as an oil country. As much as it exports crude, it also has gas for export. Now, what that then means is that Nigeria stands to gain in terms of being able to export the gas that will be needed by other countries for their ships to move on the waters, because gas is a cleaner form of energy compared to other forms of energy that is being used to propel ships now. So indeed, there's a lot of good news going forward if this trend continues. So yes, it is going to truly benefit the oil and gas.
All right, we look forward to those benefits and do hope that the system continues to keep the pirates away from our waterways and the Gulf of Guinea. Thank you so much, Foluke Akimoladun, Managing Solicitor, Treason Law Chambers, and co-lead National Action Committee on AFCFTA. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you very much.
So moving on with the program now, we do opening call to the market. Here is Will Ibong. Hello, Will.
Hello, good morning, Nini.
Good morning.
I'm smiling this morning because yesterday we were talking about, like 2 Mondays ago, we were talking about the Monday vibe, and yesterday we mentioned the Monday blues. But however, we were disappointed because
I had to emphasize that on the stock market report,
yes,
later in the night, because I was afraid that, am I going to go and deliver a bad news again tonight? But thankfully, it was a green Monday.
It was a green Monday. And it truncated that pattern, so we don't. It's not a pattern. It's not a trend.
It's not.
So we're seeing that Monday started off. The week kicked off on a positive note, sustaining last week's bullish performance as investors demand for Airtel Africa, which is still in high demand, Unilever, PZ Cussons, and everyone knows First Bank Holdings drove the all-share index higher, and this is despite the sell-offs we observed in some Tier 1 banks. The all-share index advanced yesterday by 0.12% to 1,814.74 points, with the month-to-date and year-to-date gains now increasing to 4.4% and 3.8% each. The total volume of trades volume of trades increased by 32.2% to 674.5 million units and valued at 7.59 billion naira and exchanged in 5,433 deals. As I mentioned earlier, First Bank Holdings was the FBN Holdings was the most traded stock by volume and by value at 350.54 million units and 4.35 billion naira respectively. And if we analyze it by sectors, we see that mostly all key indexes were in the green, except for the banking index there that we saw there, and this was down by 0.19%. We recorded every other listening recorded gains, like I mentioned. We'll also move over to the NASD market, where we also saw an uptick in that counter, the NASD and the NASD index of 0.62% to 748.15 points, and the market cap was at 618.1 billion naira. We saw different movements in the index there. This was at 0.62 and this one moved by 0.51%. But we'll also observe the dismal, not so good performance in terms of the volume, value, and deals. We saw volume at 80.5 units there. It's 80,500 units and valued at 1.89 million naira. Not so impressive, and only executed in 9 deals. Now we'll move over to the fixed income market, where yields in the bond market continue to drop in yesterday's trading session. We were expecting probably an uptrend, but because we don't know what's happening there, as we continue to see demand for bonds across the curve, by local investors. There was demand at the short end, the mid, and the long segments. That's where the areas where trades were dominated, which dominated most of yesterday's trading session, and the yields compressed by 12 basis points on the average across the benchmark bond curve to begin the first trading day of the week. Activities at the Nigerian Treasury bills markets was fairly not well. There was not much recorded. It was started off on a calm note with low volumes of trade witnessed across the curve, with barely any transactions that closed at the end of the day. And this was at the back of the tightened liquidity, which was at a negative 64 billion naira. That was the last time we saw as of Friday last week. Consequently, the average yield across that curve remained the same at 6.5%. There would also be an NCB auction tomorrow, where 146.87 billion naira is on offer, and we expect the sell-off to sustain in the interim as the real demand for bonds continue to stay on the sidelines and market participants focus on the treasury bills. That's tomorrow. We move on to the almost side. We saw that there was also not so much of demand there. We saw the highest demand was 7 billion naira. That's for the 26th July 2022 paper there, and then all valued at 9.45 billion naira. The CBN special bills, there's nothing much going on there as well. It was pretty quiet yesterday. 700 million naira was in demand, and at the interest rate was at 5.85 billion. 5.85%, forgive me, and all transacted in 2 deals. We're going to circle back to the equities market, where we have Rotimi Fakaya just standing on the line to tell us what happened in the equities market, what's sustaining the bull rally that we're currently witnessing. Good morning, Rotimi.
Good morning.
Rotimi, what is currently sustaining the rally? We've seen that the equities markets continued the bullish run in the market from last week's trading session. What would you say is sustaining this rally?
We know fully well that we are getting closer to end of the financial year, and it's all apparent that the various quoted companies that have good fundamentals are doing very well. And that likelihood is there for them to be able to sustain what they have done up to 6 months. And many of them that are showing 9 months results now are really proved out to be very, very stable. And as such, it's most apparent that they may be able to sustain the kind of dividend that they paid last year. And if that happens, that means if anyone is investing at this time, is definitely in for at least a yield of at least about 10% in many of the securities. So if you put in money now in some of the equities, you're getting as much as about 10% in about 3-4 months' time. So it makes the market very attractive and also sustainable. So, and also the run that we have seen in the market, whereby the participation has improved so much significantly, especially between September and October. And I think that also will be a sustainer for the market. So all in all, the kind of fluctuation and instability due to participation of foreign portfolio investors for now has really subsided. The ratio of local investors to foreign portfolio investors right now is about 80 to 20%. So that means the market is actually sustainable at the level as it is. So I think investors are good to go, and whatever they are doing now, provided they are putting their money in companies that have been paying dividends on a regular basis, I believe they have a good laugh at the end of it all.
Thank you so much, Rotimi, for that input. Very relevant at this moment, because I'm sure a lot of investors are wondering what's sustaining the market, what's keeping the market going. So you know that if you invest your stocks in fundamentally sound stocks, then you know that you make a dividend yield, like you said, up to 10%. So I'm just hoping that this bull run, runs through the year, and we hit the marks that we're looking for, 42,000 level, 22 trillion naira mark, and then we know that we're hoping for the next level, Ini.
Yeah, we're certainly looking forward to that good news, hitting that 48,000 level. It's one thing that I look forward to report, maybe today. All right, Will, thank you so much. Let's take a break now. When we come back with an opening call to London, it's Business Morning on Channels Television. You're welcome back. Well, ahead of the budget speech tomorrow in the United Kingdom, the media is getting a lot of gist. The latest sounds like good news for public sector workers, but we have Juliana joining us now to fill us in on that. Hello, Juliana. Good morning.
Good morning, Ini.
So we hear of a possible pay rise for at least 1.3 million public sector workers next year. How's the government going to fund this?
Well, gosh, that's a good question, because the government still have a £400 billion COVID bill that it needs to get through. And I suppose all the details will be unveiled, as you said, tomorrow during the Chancellor's highly anticipated budget and 3-year spending review. But there has been some gist, as you say, that's been leaked to the press in the meantime. And I suppose the two big ones are the two big pay rises. Well, the Conservative Party would like to see them as big. The first one is moving up the national living wage. I believe for over 23s, it's currently at about £8.61. That's going to be lifted to about £9.10. This is a 6.6% pay rise, just below what the Resolution think tank considered to be enough to live in London. I believe they've put that at about £10.61p per hour. But I would say the most controversial one is the public sector pay rise. Now, about this time last year, the government decided to freeze public sector pay amidst lots of controversy because they had to pay for the COVID bill. That is going to be lifted tomorrow, and it's expected that their pay will rise by about 4%. Now, the only issue is, Inni, as we've been discussing over the past couple of weeks, inflation is rising considerably high here in the UK, currently at about 3.1%. The Bank of England suggests by the end of the year it could rise to 4 or even 5%. So there are some suggestions that, hey, is this a pay rise or an actual pay cut? But again, all will be revealed tomorrow. Lots of information is being leaked to the press, but we are still going to be expecting massive tax rises, which the Tory government doesn't like to do. But of course, we've got to fill the coffers back.
Yeah, well, tomorrow is going to be very exciting. Can't wait already. And then moving away from that, Reckitt & Kaiser is very optimistic after its third quarter sales. What's driving this optimism?
Cleanliness. They are a cleaning firm, very popular owner of Dettol. Lots of people, of course, have been making sure their apartments or homes are bleached using lots of hand sanitizer. And COVID is going nowhere, which is why the group posted net revenue of over £3 billion in the 3 months to September. This is up 3.3% year on year. Lots of analysts expected a fall of about 0.7%. So they've completely confused the markets. Nobody was really expecting that. They also said that they've been doing incredibly well with cold and flu remedies, and they've even upgraded their full year forecast. So they're expecting to make more money, particularly within the China region.
All right, Juliana, thank you so much. Let's have this conversation again at 1:30 during Business Incorporated.
Thank you.
So let's take a peep into the crypto market now. A further increase in the global crypto market cap, 1.3% to be precise, taking the market cap to 2.61 trillion naira. But there's been a reduction in the market value over the last 24 hours. The market lost about $3 billion to settle at $98.32 billion. The total volume in DeFi is currently $14.17 billion. That's 14.41% of the total crypto market 24-hour volume. The volume of all stablecoins is now $76.89 billion, which is 78.21% of the total crypto market volume in 24 hours. Well, marginal reduction in the dominance of Bitcoin this morning. It claimed 45% of the total crypto market, while its price is still within $62,000. And its 24-hour volume went up, heading to $32 billion. Now, look at the king of alts, Ethereum. Ethereum added $70 in 24 hours. Now cost about $4,196.97. There's been more of the coin in the market as its volume is almost $16 billion. Just before we go to the tables, the red and table, let's have Rume now because we have some news that MasterCard is set to allow Bitcoin, to receive Bitcoin as a form of payment. I wonder how that works. We know Tesla also is in that conversation. But hello, Rume, good morning.
My pleasure.
Yeah, so what's MasterCard saying? How is it supposed to work, accepting Bitcoin as a form of payment?
All right. MasterCard is partnering with a crypto company called BAT. MasterCard is one of the global tech payment giants and been in business, imagine, for about 55 years, covering about 210 countries with 37 million merchants. They are saying that after this, they're going to roll out a product which is going to affect all of these merchants and banks and everywhere, where usually if you have your card that is enabled by MasterCard from various banks, you can use it to buy things everywhere. So at this time, partnering with BAT, if you have crypto wallet that is enabled by them, if you fund it, you can use that card to pay for services everywhere in the world. That is being done. So it is a way to include those with cryptocurrency, and most especially flagship Bitcoin, and also to give rewards back to the people. For example, going somewhere to buy groceries or stuff. Originally, you're going to use your card, and maybe reward systems are going to be paid in your regular currency, right? Which can be overrun by inflation. So with this, the platforms could incorporate this into their businesses, and when you use this crypto-backed card, your rewards could be paid in Bitcoin, and the fact that the Bitcoins are appreciating, your rewards actually go. Let's not forget the fact that Bitcoin has actually averaged above 100% every year, which means that your rewards can actually appreciate over time and use it to at least get better customer experience from any of the products you're going to be using.
So, Ruma, I was asking if this includes Nigerians or in Nigeria.
Obviously, we have banks in Nigeria that have MasterCard-enabled facilities. So, obviously, it's going to work. I don't know how they can marry that. We know we have our own laws when it comes to banking, but I don't think we want to exclude ourselves from such innovative technology, considering the fact that the world now is a global village and everybody's going to digital assets. We understand the peculiarity of us having our own central bank digital currency, but I think the way this whole thing is going, it's about people are losing interest in with the regular centralized systems and various financial systems. So alternative financial systems are gaining attraction, and I think the best thing to do as government institutions and all is to create a framework around it and not to deprive people from getting the best opportunity out of it.
Yeah, but Rume, we do have some restrictions dealing with cryptocurrency in Nigeria, so I wonder how that will work with our cards.
I think they will marry all of that together. I think it's about policy. I don't know. They're going to do that together because these guys are really really working very well to make sure that.
All right, Rume, thank you so much for this information. We'll certainly we'll check it out to see how it works here in Nigeria. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Exactly. Thank you very much.
Yeah. So that's it on the program today. Thank you so much for being a part of it. Do remember 1:30 Business Incorporated will be here to give you updates from the world of business. I'm Ini John Mekwa.